I'm still reflecting on
Oh,
my
you
own
just
fast
finished.
as I just ate a piece of fried chicken.
Hey, girl.
And welcome back to
How did I get here?
That's Taylor.
And that's Abby.
And today we are talking about fasting.
Fasting.
I covered my mic. Fasting, yeah.
Oh my goodness. First off, congratulations to Abby for, did you finish yesterday?
Yeah.
Finishing her fast. She was doing the Daniel fast, which we'll get into a little bit later in the video.
Yeah.
Oh
today,
my goodness.
We just kind of wanted to reflect on our fasting journeys, I guess. Because we've just been talking. I feel like every video we kind of base it off of our voice notes. Like we're those best friends that send each other an hour worth of voice notes catching up on our lives. And we actually just coincidentally fasted at the same time. I started the Daniel fast on one day, and then I think 2 days later you told me you decided to fast. And I was like, well, girl, I got to come clean too and tell you I'm fasting too. And so I finished that. It was 3 weeks. It was 3 long weeks.
Did you start on a Sunday? I think I started
I started on a Monday. So then you started on Tuesday.
Oh, okay. So I think I started work October's. I don't even know the date. I'm so bad with dates.
I know I started September 30th.
Okay.
The day before October started.
Yeah, then I started October 1st or 2nd.
Yeah, one of the 2 days. And then she told me she
right before I started working.
And so we were keeping up with each other and just our woes and the difficulties and the highs and the lows of how it was. Because you know what? I think it's just such a big thing for us because it's how did I get here? It was something we never thought. Like you asked me about fasting 5 years ago. I was doing intermittent fasting just trying to lose some weight. It wasn't me.
That's what I was
fasting for God. It's not anything like that. So yeah.
And I think that's how he gets you. No, I'm just kidding. That's how you get that. Like the first step, I think, is just obeying God and listening to him when he tells you to start something, regardless of if you know if it's going to be for like an answered prayer or if it's just going to be to get closer to him. The first step is just listening to the little things he tells you to do. And then my first one was about 4 months ago, I think, in May or June. And like you were saying, it wasn't for a purpose. It wasn't for anything in particular. It was for me to get away from finding comfort in other things, finding comfort in food, finding comfort in music, and anything else that I can find. And I wanted to just give up food and find that comfort in God and really get closer to God. There was nothing specific that I was going through a lot, but there was nothing specific that I was praying for at the time. Nothing that I needed or wanted. I just wanted to not sacrifice, but just give up everything that was distracting me from God and finding my comfort where I should be finding my comfort from. But if we want to speak on it, we can, because I was also going through a lot of changes at the time. Oh my God, the voice recordings, oh my gosh. But the voice recordings I was sending Abby about all that was going on, I had no clue where I was going to be. This was literally about 4 months ago. I did not know if I was going to move out, where I was going to live, if I should go to my parents' house first and then move into my own place, what job, what my relationship status was going to be. There was so many changes, and I remember trying to figure it out for so long. And I remember getting to the point in our voice recordings where I was like, I just don't know. I don't know. I'm just going to see.
It was like a time crunch, and she's a person. Do you feel like you're a person that makes decisions better under pressure? Because I feel like once it got down to the wire, and then I didn't hear from her for like 3 or 4 days.
That always happens.
Boom,
that always happens.
Everything
that happened before I quit my last job. Like I'll just go. That's how you know something is happening in my life. I go that you caught me. Dark. I go.
Well,
twice.
We haven't talked the last few days.
It's a pattern. No, nothing is happening yet. But I do. No, nothing's happening.
I'm suspicious of her at all times. Last video, check it out, when she quit her job and didn't tell me until right before we hit record.
Yes, it was about a week of me just.
She was out of a job for like a week. She quit a job, and then I'm like,
I could not tell anybody. I really had to just like go into beast mode. Yeah, and I just had to figure things out and just take time, because sometimes even if it's like positive, sometimes you just get distracted with
too many voices.
Yes, too many voices. So you just have to take a second. And I'm like, let me figure this out real quick. And then I've done that my whole life. Let me figure it out and then let me tell everybody after.
Correct. And it's almost like processing how you feel because it's not even that you felt like, oh, what is Abby going to, like, you don't care about what I'm going to say, but it's like, I know the feeling of sometimes you just have to process how you feel about something before you're ready to talk about it. So yeah, I feel that. But now I'm just always suspicious of her because we be sending an hour worth of voice recordings every day, all day.
Oh,
and then she goes dark. I be like, something going on in her life.
know.
I'm suspicious.
No, I actually just have been, I think I told you this a few voice recordings ago, but I'm just really working on like, what am I working on? I just want to I want to get back to who I was. I feel like I spent about 2 years, which is crazy to me to even say, just like 2 years of like over criticizing myself, like basking in the sadness of like I feel like I was doing too much, you guys, honestly. And I enjoy being able to have an outlet, but I also do not like making anyone around me feel like I'm just like trauma dumping on them. So I spent 2 years, which is a crazy, incredibly long time, to soak in like sadness. Well, not sadness. I'm not even going to act like my life is horrible, but just to talk about everything that I wanted to change. Lately, I've been feeling like it's time to actually put action to what I'm speaking about, actually make change, actually be content with my life. And I think this past week, I don't know if I'm finally settling into the place I'm at, but I'm finally not feeling like, I wasn't upset. What was I even feeling? I'm not feeling any type of way about my current situation. I'm very content and very happy where I am currently. Yeah. And it took me 2 years. When I say that out loud, I literally, because since you were expecting, we really started talking a lot. And like, I really started to think about everything that was going on in my life. And I'm honestly thankful and grateful that I feel like speaking on it out loud helped me realize everything I was going through and all the changes I really wanted to make, because I was not making any change before. And I finally got to the point, these last couple of months, I've been actually putting things into action. And right now, I'm finally having a moment. I finally got settled into my place, and I'm reflecting on all that happened, and it feels good to be where I'm at. And although there's always something in your mind, always the devil like trying to get you to feel like, but you're alone, but this happened, but you could be here. And it's like, I'm not going to pretend like, oh, it's perfect, and I never have bad moments anymore. I do have those moments, but I'm realizing like, that I'm so peaceful right now, and that's all that I can ever ask for, and I'm just truly happy for a change. So, and specifically this week, I don't know, I've just been really content where I'm at. So I'm happy. I'm not like looking towards everything that can happen in my future. I still have goals, but I'm just genuinely okay with where I'm at right now. So it feels good to be here.
I'm just staring at you, and I'm like I said, I cheat off her notes because I didn't take notes on what I wanted to say, but she's prepared. And so I just wanted to say, during my fast, like, I think whenever you fast, if you need to set your intention for why you're fasting. Like Taylor was saying, sometimes it is just to obey God. He's calling you to do it. Like, I know there's a Christian girly, Ashley Hetherington. She's very popular on YouTube. And that was the video I sent you where she was saying, like, she got called to fast for a day, to do a 1 day fast of no food, no whatever. But and it was for a reason that she wasn't even thinking to fast for that reason, but God called her to do it. So it's like figuring out why. For you, the first time, it was just to obey God without a reason. Right. But for me, like, I did have a reason. And actually, this is the second time I've done the Daniel fast. And the first time I did it, I had a reason. And it's so crazy. I see so much about how people talk about how sometimes we struggle because we forget how good God has been for us and how much He's come through in the past.
I have a quote in here. I love that you said you want to set your intentions, but also it might have been this Sunday that just passed, the Reverend was preaching, and he said, God, I wrote it in my phone, God doesn't need a reason to be good to you. Like, although we're doing this, you do want to set intentions. God doesn't need you to
God be a perfect Christian.
Exactly.
He's not waiting for you to do these perfect.
Exactly.
That is what I struggle with the most, accepting.
Another thing he said too, what did he say? God will bless you just because He got it like that. And I thought that was hilarious. And me personally, I love me a good baller. God, he has it to give. It's not like he's being stingy with the blessings. It's not like, oh, okay, prove it to me.
I'm waiting for you.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So
let
you
me
have
tell
to
you
think
this.
about that.
I had a mental breakdown during my fast that I told Taylor about,
Yeah.
and it was because the first time I fasted, one, it was I only made it 10 days because TMI. I had the runs by day 10 because I was having like you can't have like salad dressings because like they have sugar or so I was lazy to make my own actual dressing, so I was just using too much olive oil. I had too much fiber, had a little bit of the runs, and it was like back to back to back bad where I almost would have to call off work. So I prayed about it, and what's crazy is in the Bible, Daniel actually only did the Daniel fast for 10 days, but he mourned for 21 days for something else. But I don't know. Either way, he actually only did that fast for 10 days at first. So I made it the 10 days the first time. And after that, I feel like God like really did something amazing in my life with that first fast. And then, because for me, I mean, I can just say like I've just been kind of lost in figuring out myself and my career path and all that stuff and what I want to do. And God like blessed me with more time, like time off, and to be able to spend time and relaxing and getting my mind together and being with my child. So I had that intention and that, but then this time around I did the fast, and it was easier then because one, it was only 10 days. Two, my child was only like, she was not even one yet. So she was just starting solids. But now I'm like cooking constantly. And if you cook, you know you can't cook without tasting. And I'm constantly cooking for my family. And I was like, girl, listen, day one on the Daniel fast, day one, I made her a smoothie that had Greek yogurt in it. And I'm so used to like eating the rest of the yogurt, where I scooped the yogurt out, put it in the smoothie bowl or the blender, and then I like licked the yogurt off before I like rinse the spoon off. And as soon as I did it, I like licked the spoon, I put some soap on it, I'm cleaning the spoon off, and I was like, you messed up your first day. Now you're gonna have to do an extra day. God, it's not gonna forgive you. This is dumb. Now what's the point? So then that was the first time I messed up. But then as time went on, I was trying to cook other things for her, like soups from scratch. And I was trying to try different recipes, or there's sometimes I make things I have to see if it's too spicy or whatever. I just need to know how it tastes if it's too hot. How do you feed children and like you don't taste it? Or even like with my husband, it's a little different. But even with a baby, like I have to taste it before I feed it to her. So I just felt so bad because I'm like, man, I can't even do it. And I was thinking, God is not like what I want to know from God. He's not even going to give it to me because I'm not doing right. This is, I was so discouraged because I'm like, I already messed up one day. And then it was like 2 or 3 days later, I just kept like, I couldn't figure it out. But then I just felt condemnation only comes from the enemy. And like you said, God doesn't need to like you to be perfect. Like, he's not waiting for you to be perfect.
Not at all.
So I just kind of had to pray about it and be like, okay, whatever, it's fine. Like God is okay with you. And I have to better my, like when I'm cooking for my family. Like I was cooking like salmon croquettes the other day and I needed to make sure I made it not as dry or this or that. So I would taste it. But honestly, it didn't make the fast like more tempting or less. It honestly made it like, it didn't make it easier because I was tasting stuff, because I wasn't just constantly tasting and eating a lot. Like it would just be one little taste. But it made it, maybe, I don't even know. It didn't make it easier or harder. I wasn't, for me, it was my idea of you're not eating these things for pleasure. Whatever you're consuming, it's not for pleasure. So honestly, it kind of made it harder for me, to be honest. Because then I would be like, dang, that tastes good. I want to eat it. It was never enough to satisfy me. It was just enough to know that it was okay. But either way, I felt so condemned and like God's not going to bless me because I didn't do it good enough. And that was not true. Or like, I went to my cheat meal when I'm fasting, because I always go to, because the Daniel fast, you can only eat fruits and vegetables and like grains and stuff like that. So like I go to Sweet Greens and I get like, they have quinoa. You can have quinoa and like vegetables, avocado, and I'll just do like olive oil and seasoning.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I put wild rice in it. Didn't think twice about it. But then as I ate it, I was like, oh my God, I think oh my gosh, wild rice. I think that might have a little bit of white, because you can have white rice. But I was just so like, I was putting too much pressure on myself. And it's not about that.
Not at
Because the enemy
all.
would love nothing more than for you to condemn yourself and just give up and not keep going. So yeah.
You're actually the reason why I decided to start doing specific fasts. I'm going to talk about it later, but I did do the Esther fast the last time I fasted, which is 3 days. I did the dry fast, which is no water, no food at all.
Girl.
But some people also do it with water. Which that would have been nice, but I'm actually glad that I went through with the whole thing. And then...
You didn't tell me about your experience either.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to get to that. But I also wanted to say too that I'm glad that you completed everything, because I feel like as you reflect on it, you start to realize, like I said, with the first fast, I wasn't looking for anything, but I definitely was talking to God and asking him like for guidance with what I should do next. And look at how far I've come now. And I'm already in the spot where a few months ago I was sending you recordings like, what should I do? And now I'm currently there and finally finding my peace. So you just never know the hidden messages, even if you're like, I know you were focused on like what you should eat, what you're doing right, the specific things you were asking for, but you don't even know what God has planned for you after you do something. So it's more than what you're asking for specifically. And throughout my life in general, I feel like a lot of things, you later on realize that a lot of things were to lead you to God. And not to turn this into a somber moment, but I remember my grandmother passing right after I graduated from college in 2017. And even like my whole life, she has really, besides my parents, she really like has been my path or my guidance to God. And like, what is it? Like I went to church with her all the time. She would like speak of Bible verses. I remember in college, I don't know if I told her or how we got on this topic, but she started sending me, I guess she had a subscription to like she got like Psalms sent to me, like the books, and she would have them sent every month or so to my dorm room when we were in the singles. So yeah, little things like that. I just remember like little things throughout my life that weren't significant at the time, but like I just remember her doing those things.
Knocking on your door.
Yeah, and then okay, this is where the thing is, I remember specifically when she passed away. I guess it's the chaplain that comes in the room. He was just speaking to us about life in general. My whole family was in the room and he was just talking to us. And he asked us to recite the Lord's Prayer with him. And at the time, I did not know the Lord's Prayer. And that made me feel so bad, you guys, honestly. Like I told myself after that day, like I had to, that's when I started going to church more consistently. I learned the Lord's Prayer, and like that really, really brought me closer to God, because someone who guided me through my whole life and like taught me so much about God, taught me all the Bible verses that she knew. And then for me in her last moment to not be able to, I think I'm making it deeper than it is, but not to be able to return that favor and recite the Lord's Prayer to her.
It's just because you felt God tugging on you so much, and you realize how much you've been like not even seeing him. Yeah. And so he's like right in your face. Yep. And you want him, and you're like, wait a minute, I haven't been doing what I'm supposed to be doing to connect back with you. Yes. I've just been floating through life. Yep. Lukewarm. And that's the thing. Like, we're both still working on our journey of like not being as lukewarm and just floating through life. But that was your moment of realizing, I'm not paying attention to God at all. And I'm just accepting what happens. Yep. I really started to go to church more. It was the church she introduced my family to, and we didn't go consistently, but I remember going there as a child and the comfort that it brought me even then. It was the few moments that I was there, it was so significant that when she passed away, I just had to go back, and I would go by myself. Is that the church you go to now? She introduced me, I'm not going to say the church, but she introduced me to my family's church, and I started going by myself, and it just brought me so much comfort to be there and to learn the lessons and to just be encouraged. And they do recite the Lord's Prayer, and it's just taught me so much. And I feel like that's a significant moment in my life, especially when I graduated college. Like, my dad was transitioning and moving on to a different job. My grandmother, like everything she was going through, it was just a lot. And it was a tough lesson, like all of these lessons are that we go through, but it just got me so much closer to where I'm supposed to be in life. And I truly, truly, I won't say I appreciate it, but I am, what's the word for it? Like, you're just grateful for like, I'm grateful that I went through the experience and it brought me closer. I talked about that on my channel, the video I actually just posted about how I was like seeing psychics and I was very into the new age. Like, actually, I forgot to mention in that video, like I had crystals. I bought a book about crystals. And I was saying for me, it's not as like deep as yours, but that was, and I've heard about this too before. It's like God, he usually gets you into like your darkest time, those darkest moments. But it's so crazy how like when you are on, that's why they say like when you're on the fence about God and like you have one foot on one side of the fence, which is with him, and the other one is with the enemy. Like when you're halfway, God does not like that. It literally says in the Bible, the verse in Revelation that says like, you are neither hot nor cold, you are lukewarm, so I will spit you out of my mouth. That one. So that does not make God happy, but because he's not happy with you doesn't mean that he's done with you. Like it says he'll spit you out of his mouth, but he's never like there's nothing you can really do to separate yourself from God 100%. So like when I was that way and I was with the enemy, if you're with the enemy, then you're all his pretty much. But God will come with you on that other side of that fence. Because when I was travel nursing. For me, I was travel nursing. I was lost because I became a nurse. It really was just something I did because I was told it was something I can do. I was in college. I needed to hurry up and pick a major. And then I got to bedside nursing. And as I mentioned in one of our first 2 videos, I was on orientation. And I was ready to,
you already
what am I doing with my life? And so, yeah, all of that. And I ended up doing bedside at a specific one hospital for a year and a half before my friend encouraged me to quit and do travel nursing, which at the time was like the best. I mean, it was the best decision for me to continue being a nurse at that point in time, because I was not, mental health was in the trash. It was during COVID. I began in April of 2020. I was on the COVID unit. It was trash. But when I went to LA to do my first travel contract during the holiday season. And that was when I became heavy in the new age, like referring to God as like the universe sometimes. Sometimes he's God, heavy into the horoscopes, heavy into the crystals and seeing psychics and stuff. But at that moment, I have never listened. That was when I actually started to make my worship playlist on my phone. That was when I started to, I wasn't physically going to church, but I was consistently like going on the YouTube church, whatever. Like I was listening to it, watching it be streamed on YouTube, and I was consuming so much like Christian content and growing closer to God and deciding to open up the Bible and read it and relying on him and praying to him. But at the same time, I was still like seeing psychics and doing all. So like I was in that, but still trying to find God.
Yeah, and it's not to say, I'm going to be completely honest. I know that there's other things out there. I know that I think we even mentioned in a video, Ashley Jones, who talked to like the White Witch. I won't say that I don't think these things are true, but you have to put your faith and your power in God. No matter, we are powerful beings. True. We are powerful beings. You can manifest things. You can do things on your own, but you have to relinquish that power. And if you truly believe in God and want to live this way, you have to put that power in God. You cannot think
coming
that
from the enemy. That's what she was that, and it's so true. All of this.
It's me, not that it's fake, but it's not something
I'll talk about it in this video too. I talked about it in my latest video too. If you do your research on how the stuff works, you're hearing a voice, but it is not from God. It is from that of the enemy. Like it is 100% all those horoscopes and all that stuff. But when I was doing it, I said in a previous video that I was seeing a psychic and she told me I was going to go back to school. I didn't believe it. I was like, what the heck? You're crazy. I'm not going back to school. I never wanted to further my education. I already currently have a master's in nursing and that was too much. It was already too much money. I'm good. We've talked about it. Look at any of our previous videos. We'd rather be stay-at-home moms, but here we are.
Yes.
But I never wanted to go back to school. I never wanted to be a nurse practitioner. So many of my friends are like sticking with the hospital to get the hospitals to pay for their schooling and they're working to go. I never wanted to do that. So when she told me that, I was like, you're crazy. And so then I think, that was maybe January. I saw the psychic and then I got pregnant in August. And then by September, I decided to be a school nurse because I saw the psychic in January. By like April or May, one of my friends brought up the idea of being a school nurse to me and laid that offer on the table for me. And I was like, okay, I'll put that on the back burner if I ever need it. And then I needed it like in September or October. And I was like, I might as well find something steady because I'm not quite financially ready yet there to be a stay-at-home mom. But like, I got to do something. So this is what I'm going to do because I'm not going back to the hospital. But when they told me that, I was just like, I didn't think about it until like almost a year later or so when my husband brought it up to me and was like, well, you kind of did end up in school. And then I have to go back to school if I continue with this career path to be a certified school nurse, to make what I'm actually worth, because you're not making as much when you start off as a school nurse until you go back to school and get your certification. So I was like, that is just so crazy. The people who are predicting these things, they are certain spirits and spirit guides, but they are spirits that know you. They know your family. They know your lineages. They've been watching you for years. They know these things. They have certain things that they can know and they can do, but that's not God's plans for you, because it literally says, Jeremiah, I know the exact verse, 29 verse 8. It talks 8 to 9. I think he talks about how they don't listen to these psychics. They have been lying to you in my name. And in Deuteronomy, it also talks about that. I think it's like chapter 18, because I put it in my other video. But it talks about like, if you believe in God at all and you're in the middle, like how I was, and you're like, I believe in God, but my favorite show, this is so random. My favorite show was
not Teresa or the guy.
Yes.
Really?
Girl, I love that show. My Long Island Medium.
Yes.
Yes. No shade on her or whatever, because I'm still learning this stuff myself. I'm not 100% sure, or like I don't want to speak to her or what she does or who she talks to specifically. But I was heavy into that stuff, and I was in the middle of like, I love God, but I don't know where all the, because that's the thing. That's why I talk about it being a slippery slope. That's why people think that a lot of people are crazy when you don't want to talk about horoscopes. It starts off with horoscopes. You can just know, oh, I'm a Gemini. Okay, that's great. But then there's so much more to knowing about what it means to be a Gemini, and what's your sun, and what's your moon, and what time are you. It goes down a slippery slope. And then I got into what's your Enneagram, and then like where are those messages coming from? Because God literally talks about how only he knows the plans he has for you.
Whether it's positive or negative, even if horoscopes were positive, you should still put your trust in God and not even look towards that, regardless of where it comes from.
Where it is, where it comes from. Yes. And that's the point. If we're going to these psychics to tell us what to do, then what is the point in ever relying on God?
Exactly.
And it's just, I was in such a place where like I just needed to know the answer, but I wasn't being patient. And that's what I actually want to circle back to what you were saying.
Yep, I haven't even gotten to the answer fast yet, but yes, keep going.
You were saying, back to the beginning of what you were saying about being content, like how you were saying. I think this current fast, the things that I was praying about and just wanting clarity on, I really feel like God is just telling me to be content and just be patient and be quiet. Like don't worry about, because that's the thing. I hear like pastors say like, God already knows all the concerns you have, the timeline you have. God knows the timeline. He already knows it.
Exactly.
So you're worried about, well, God, by this date, I gotta do this and this. Because like you never know. Like God knows already. So like I'm worried about certain things, but it's all in his path and it's all in his time. And the things that I'm so worried about, I just feel God telling me the reason why you're trying to rush things is honestly just for your own aesthetic. Like it just to make you happy and to make your own aesthetic, like make yourself feel better for like vanity reasons or just like, and it's not necessarily being vain, like the things I was praying about, but I think I told you about this TikTok I saw, where this guy was talking about, and this is heavy how I felt today. Christianity and following God is not the easy path. God never promised that it would be easy when you turn to him. It doesn't make your life easier. And I think people are looking for that golden path when you follow God, because it is glory. But I think you do see a lot of people who are Christians and their life is not great. They do end up getting extremely sick and they pass away from cancer or whatever. Like you see people going through terrible things, but they're still calling to God. And I think the difference too with that is when you're with God, and this is what I learned during the fast, because I didn't fall off hard today, but like I just kind of I fell heavy into the distractions today of like watching shows and instead of like, because I just needed like a mental break from like being obsessed with the things I'm praying about to God. Because when you're relying on God, you're really just letting it go and you don't know nothing.
Right.
But when you're of the world more so, you're trying to make it happen in your own strength. You're trying to distract yourself with like things that you know you probably shouldn't be doing, whatever that thing is for you. And it's just allowing you to numb yourself more so and distract yourself with the fun things of the world that you probably shouldn't be doing, or you feel God's convicting you not to do anymore. And so I just needed a moment to like distract myself, and I felt the Holy Spirit tell me, girl, cut that show off. I don't need you watching that. But I needed a moment. But I kind of figured out during this fast that like, when you really turn to God, you're letting go of making things happen in your own strength, and you're relying on Him. And
Peter, which we both said, everybody brings it up all the time, but
on the water?
To walk on water, you can't think about the faith you have in yourself or whatever you're doing. You have to look towards God. But that's the answer. It's not science. It's not anything that you can control. It's only God. And when you lose that, you slip. You'll fall.
And the thing too with that is like, imagine being Peter walking on the water. It's like the equivalent of, I see Jesus over there, and you're like, I really want to hurry up and get to him because this is kind of a lot going on. I don't know how long it's going to take. Honestly, I've never done this before. Am I going to... Like, you can look at all those things, but when you're not focused on God, at the same time, you'll fall, but you feel like you have a false sense of control where you feel like, well, I can step over here. Is there a paddle I can grab on? Maybe like you feel better because you have a false sense of control that you're making things happen in your own strength.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at God, you're like, dang, you feel like you're sitting there doing nothing, just focused on Him, and nothing's happening, nothing's changing. It's kind of quiet. God's like, can you just go read the Bible today? That's all I really want from you. You're like, really, God? That's it? Because I got this big problem that I want to get fixed, and you're just telling me to read the Bible. But wait a minute, I need God, but the time is, and that's what it feels like when you're just focused on God versus, okay, I'm just gonna make this happen. What you don't have the opportunity to contemplate how you're gonna make it happen in your own strength. You're literally fumbling around in the dark, just waiting for God to open your eyes and like show you His plan. It's like the teddy bear thing where God's like asking you to give Him the small teddy bear. He's not gonna show you this one yet, but it's like you've given Him the small teddy bear, and you're just like, all right. I'm kind of lonely without my teddy bear. Can I have something?
Exactly.
Yeah, you want to take that small one back, but you're missing the bigger thing.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I feel like, too, even because we speak a lot about, like, expecting things during fast or, like, expecting good things. But one thing that happened to me, I did the Esther fast 3 days. It was tough, especially the second day. I had headaches. I was going through all types of like, just give up today. I was feeling that voice telling me, it's okay. You can start again this week and that week.
I felt that even my last 2 days of the fast. Just do it, girl. It's only one more day. What's a few more hours?
Oh my goodness. And imagine how bad you would feel if you don't even like complete it or get that far. So yes, I went through all of that. It was... The third day and the first day weren't too bad, but like I said, that second day was a lot to handle. But when I finished, I wasn't expecting anything. I wasn't expecting anything good, but I wasn't expecting anything bad either. And I won't say it was bad what was happening to me, but I was just going through things where I was like, okay, I did all of this, but like, why are bad things still happening to me? I'm like, I wasn't expecting good, but I also was not expecting bad. So what is this? And again, it wasn't like horrible things, but it was just things that I was thinking would be removed from my life. And it was like, okay,
that happened to me yesterday.
What is happening here?
I was like, I was over it yesterday. I was hangry. and actually that was my hardest, like, I had never been so hungry. Like for me, it was the last day. Like I was like, it's 3 o'clock. What's the difference?
I did most of it.
And I was like, even last night, it was like 8 o'clock. And I was like, okay, I just need to go to sleep and wake up the next day. But I was like, okay, it's already 8. Maybe you could just eat at 8:30 because you probably stopped eating.
Exactly. Trying to figure out the exact time I started. Like, okay, I get on this specific,
but
like, no.
I was so irritated and I couldn't even tell you why.
Oh my goodness.
Like I felt so much mom guilt because I left the top off of my daughter's snacks right here on this very spot. And she like threw them all on the floor. And she was like stepping in them, trying to crunch them as I'm trying to get to her. And I was like, I lost every ounce of patience. I didn't have, the patience was gone. Like I had none left. Like everybody was getting on my nerves. I was hungry. Nothing was satisfying me. And I was like, I don't ever want to see another vegetable or fruit in my life. I'm so sick of this. I was over it. And I was like, God, why is today the last day? I was on Reddit. Like, did anybody else have a terrible last day of the Daniel fast? Because what the heck? But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's just what I was going to say. Like, I wasn't expecting the things that were happening to me to happen or certain things to appear in my life that I thought would just be like just done with right after the fast. I'm like, why is this happening? But I continued on. I mean, I was done with the fast at that point, but I'm just realizing like you will still, regardless.
The enemy sees you getting closer to God.
Yep.
That's what I realized. I felt like, I compared this to you. I was like, it feels like God has us in the ring. And this, what is it, 12 rounds for boxing match?
Yeah.
You already went 12 rounds, and then the devil's like, nah, let's go 13, 14. You already thought that you were at the finish line with 12, and you already ran the marathon.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, let's go another mile,
Guys,
another one.
When I tell you, literally 2 years, I have not felt like myself. I'm not the type of person to harp on bad moments, negativity. For 2 years, I hear myself complaining, but I cannot, like, it was so much going on in my life that I could not even be my normal self. And I'm finally feeling like it was so many rounds, like you said, like so many rounds. I can see a couple of months of like negativity or things that you're not satisfied with. I was going through this for a long time. So to finally feel, I feel like I'm sitting down on the bench. I don't know what's going to happen next. Or I'm on the ring, the side of the ring. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I finally feel like I have a moment to like sit and be happy finally. And like, the first time I didn't really ask for anything, but this time I did set my intention. I was doing a specific fast, doing the Esther fast, and also reading the study guide, which was a complete coincidence. I was reading the study guide in the book of Esther at the time, and I saw it like pop up on. First, I saw somebody just talking about fasting in general, and then it pops up on like TikTok or something, and they were saying, which I didn't even mention this to you. I just wanted to see what you thought about it when I was messaging you. But they were saying in the video, like, it's better to do it with someone. So I'm like, I was just talking about it to Abby. I'm like, because I don't want to force anybody to do this with me. And she's like, girl, I sent her this voice recording literally like, I think I should do it. I'm getting so many signs that I should just start this fast. And she's like, I've already started like 2 days ago. I'm already doing it. I'm like, this is perfect. Like, there's no other confirmation that I need to do this. If my friend is already like,
now don't get it twisted. She did the no food, no water for 3 days.
But still,
I did food and water for 21 days. But it was specific. But I had specific things I couldn't eat.
Yeah,
I really couldn't compare. I don't know which one. Arguably hers is way harder than what I did. It was just mine was longer.
And I'm glad I wasn't even thinking to do it. I was gonna do another time of just, sometimes it's hard. I say things, but I don't connect it, and I need Abby to connect the things for me, because when I thought about fasting, I was gonna pretty much do what I did last time, like with just like eating or like not eating as much and not eating just because. But then I saw the Esther fast and I still didn't even connect it. I was just telling her like, I'm feeling called to fast again. Like, I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. And I was like, oh, by the way, I just saw this TikTok. They were talking about specific fasts you can do. And she was saying like, I think these are the only two fasts. The Daniel fast and the Esther fast are the only two in the Bible. Did you say that?
Yes, other than Jesus for 40 days.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're not doing that one.
No.
The only ones that are really, like, done commonly amongst people.
Yeah.
But she was telling me, like, specifically, I wasn't even thinking, like, of not eating at all. But I'm like, well, I haven't eaten thus far, like, to this point when she sent me the recording back. I'm like, maybe I should just go for it and try and see. But I needed, like, all those dots to be connected because I wasn't even thinking of doing a specific fast from the Bible.
And this is what I'm saying. We forget how, like, God be doing stuff. Because when I tell you, she and I really didn't talk about, like, we never talked. Like, we may have mentioned fasting in passing, but
even my first time, you told me after that you had done the Daniel fast before. Like, I wasn't even thinking that I already had a friend that fasted as well. Yeah.
And we never had a moment where we said, we should do this together one day. No. At the time, we did it. Now we're saying it. And I know people who do it. I think one day maybe we should do, like, maybe once a month or once every other month or something, we can do a 1 day fast.
I would love
like
to do
one
that.
day where we can do it together. But yeah, because I know the girls that Girls Gone Bible, they they're another podcast duo and they do like a 1 day fast.
Oh, nice.
But they're a little hardcore. They've worked their way up to maybe like once a week they do it. I'm not quite there yet, you know. But honestly, it's not about doing what someone else does. It's just about doing what you're called to do.
Exactly.
And they feel called to do that. So kudos to them. But yeah, we did what we did. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's crazy. We went from never considering a fast ever to fasting twice in a year.
Yes.
Twice in a year we've done a fast for God. So you didn't even know the Lord's Prayer. And now you're fasting twice in a year for God.
2017 me would never think that I would be here. Oh my goodness.
Reading the Bible on your own.
Oh my goodness. Look at how far I've come. That's amazing. Even with this podcast, like I was saying, like we never really connected. Well, eventually we did, but like I know we were constantly like talking. We built up to like talking frequently, at least like once or twice a week, sending voice recordings. And then I think I just threw out the idea like, this is so funny that we do this. It's almost like we have our own podcast. And you're like, maybe we should actually do it. Like, let's start a podcast.
I was like, Taylor, look.
Like,
just give me the green light. I was like, I'm not gonna force you, Taylor, but if you want to, just give me the green light. I'll run with it.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, I do it. And I was like, I just want to know, are you for real? Because we can do this.
Yeah.
I didn't want to force it on her.
Ends up working itself out. And I just find that so amazing. So
yeah, you're making a late come through, Winter. My cat.
I know. Where have you been?
You can't see her on camera. Maybe you see her. No, you can't see her. But yeah, she usually comes and joins us at some point.
Hi, sweetie.
Yeah. But our fasting, I don't even know. It's just, I'm trying to look at it as just, it's a blessing to be, it's a blessing to be able to be obedient to God. Yes. And I do want to point out, I was actually doing I've been doing I mentioned the Bible in a year, 365 days. I'm way behind, which is not because I haven't been reading every day, because I have been, but I got to the point where I was like, okay, doing the specific readings they were having me do in a certain order. Sometimes I would want to spend time in a different chapter, so I kind of got behind for that. But either way, I saw today what I was reading. They were talking about worshiping God, and it was funny. They were like saying how you can look at God as, wouldn't you think it's vain for if God's a being, he just created us to worship him. Like, is that vain of him to do? And then they were like, but when you look at human nature, people worship anything. Like they were saying, we've made our, what did they say? They kind of put it like, no matter what you do, no matter what you like or what you enjoy, it's never fully completed until you speak it out and you worship it. Like, for example, your partner. Like, if your partner thinks, like, Taylor, you look so beautiful. Like, they can think it, but once they actually physically say it out of their mouth, then it's like complete. Or people worship, they were saying sports and you can, anything that you truly enjoy, insert whatever you enjoy. You want to dedicate time to it. You want to talk about it. Like, if we can do it about things that God has given us, why wouldn't you want to do it about God? Right. If that's your nature anyway, to want to love and to compliment your significant other, tell your parents how much you love them, how much you appreciate them, giving a person a gift because of how much you appreciate them. If we do that as human nature and we enjoy loving and giving each other and other worldly things that we love, why wouldn't we want to find ways to worship God? And fasting is a way to worship. And that's kind of how I felt, because I was like, God, I'm sorry, but I'm doing this for you at the end of the day. Right. All my intentions the last couple of days went out the window. I was like, God, all I can do is focus on this is my obedience for you.
Exactly.
I ain't even, because I honestly,
I will sacrifice this all for you. Yeah,
just for you. I was like, I can't even, I was struggling because I was just struggling the last
few
days.
No, I was too. I could, I don't know when I was like, what's do that intention? Again or that was a lot.
I started to even feel bad because I was like, I'm not really praying to God and talking to him about it as much, like the intentions. But at the end of the day, it's like the reason, I'm glad you said what you said, because the reason why I felt like I wasn't praying enough and talking about my intentions was only because I felt like I owed God something. Like of course I need to pray and acknowledge him daily. Yeah. But I felt like what you were saying, God don't have to bless you because of your resume and what you do and what you did and what you didn't do. That's not why God's
got it like that, girl.
He'll just
bless you just because. Yeah.
That's where I have to realize. I found that so funny in church. I struggle so much with that. And I even realized, I pray that one day I'm really, did she scratch you a little bit? It's okay. Girl, trying to fall. She just be wanting to love.
We're just best friends.
I would love to be able to just spread the word of God and just to convince people how much God loves them. But
I even thought about passing out like stickers or something but I want to do some type of, I've been saying I want to volunteer. Here you go. You're going to make my thought come into fruition or make it concrete. Yes, you are, because I think we talked about this a few months ago, but I just want to volunteer, like even if it's at like a soup kitchen or like passing out something, like God look, like I feel like I'm supposed to do something soon. I don't know. I want to do something fun like that.
Well, we can do that. I was gonna say, it reminded me of this video. I forgot. So the girl I mentioned, Ashley Hetherington, she has a roommate, and I don't know why her name is slipping my mind right now. But this girl, I don't know if it was those two. I think they went on a video. They prayed to God. And I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna send you this video when I find it. They like wrote letters ahead of time, like Jesus loves you, or like Jesus is calling on you to do this, and they just were like connected to God and just writing what they felt, and then they just went out into the world and started passing the letters out.
Yep, and it'll go to the right person. And you think you're doing it randomly? Nope, it's going to.
And it was something like really specific where it was this. They felt like this woman was like being called back to God, like she had gotten busy and distracted with like being a mom or something, and that it was so crazy. But I was like, man, but sometimes I do feel called to like say something to people sometimes.
Yeah, I know. That's so tough. So I talked about this a few videos ago too. Not even, it's like small things that I've been struggling to say, but it's specifically when you're like, when God tells you like, do this for this person or say this, like that's so hard to get to the point where you feel, and it should be so easy, but if I'm being honest, as a human being, it's just difficult to get to that point. Like, God, do you really want me to walk up to this person? Do you really want me to say this right now? Yeah, I
think it's almost like a muscle we have to exercise when you get used to like,
because people do it to me and I'm fine with it. Like, I've had people walk up to me and say, like, God, look, like, this is a message specifically for you. I've had that happen. And you don't know everyone's intents, but, like, I've never felt any type of way. So it's like, why do I feel bad doing that for somebody else?
You don't have to, like, go on a whole rant to them about trying to predict things or whatever. No. But, you just give a general message of love. And even if the person doesn't believe in God at all, again, what is it doing? It's planting seeds. Like your grandma planted seeds for you.
For sure.
They may not think about it. They might be like, that girl's kind of crazy. But then 5 years from now, you will be a seed of all the seeds that continue to be planted in that person's life that'll bring them closer to God. But if no one plants any of them, everybody's too afraid to say something, then that person will never be saved as well. So that's just important to keep in mind. But I say all these things, but I be struggling myself. And also, I want to tell other people that Jesus loves them, but I'm like me. Man, God.
Do it, girl. I can't wait to hear you do it. That's going to motivate me to
I struggle so much with believing, like I struggle to believe that I don't have something to live up to, if that makes sense. Like, I struggle to let go.
For me?
Yeah, I struggle to live up to what you were saying about how you don't have to achieve certain goals or like I struggle like with the fast. I was like, if I don't pray enough, if I don't do this enough, God's not gonna. And it's not even about Him blessing me, but it's just give me direction and tell me what you want me to do. Like I just think I'm going to be stuck unless I'm achieving certain goals or doing certain things in my spiritual life with God. I just feel condemned. Like the devil is trying to make me feel so condemned. God is so tired. God don't even want to hear from you right now because you've been ignoring Him all day. I've had to get over the fact of, even if I've gone through a few hours where I feel like I've been like shut out from Him and I've just been ignoring, I don't even want to open up at that point because I'm like, man, God's just mad at me right now. He don't even want to hear from me anymore because I've been like, I struggle with feeling like if I don't have a perfect day with Him, or not even perfect, but a better than usual day, then He doesn't want to hear from me. He's not going to bless me. He's not going to.
It kind of feels like a checklist sometimes, or like tasks that I have to complete before God is like satisfied with me.
Yes, I feel like He's up there like,
what you did, you skipped that part.
You was watching that show I told you I didn't want you to, you know what I'm saying?
And you know what makes me, I mentioned this in the last video, I think we had the camera recording, but it was, I don't know how true it is because we don't know until we transition, but there was a lady, I was watching some video and she was talking about how things at the end of your life, it may be like, we feel like everything's going to be multiple choice. Like, did you check this off? Yes or no? It could be an open-ended conversation. Did you complete this task? Okay, how do you feel about not completing it? What do you think you could have did better? It could, everything, I don't know. I can't say for certain, but it could be open. And it doesn't have to be like, did you do this? Okay, fail at big F on the paper. Yes,
On
no. Like
July
there's one
13th,
correct. Exactly. It could be
1999.
open-ended. And I hope and pray that it's that way. And I feel like that is how God would be towards us.
Yeah, I don't know why we feel like he's very
There's only
much
one.
Yeah, he's sitting on his throne just because that's the thing. He is the judge, but we associate it with a negativity kind of a judge. I don't know where we think he's just like not forgiving us, but really it does talk about in the Bible how he just forgets all your, like you repent. He's not sitting there with the checklist keeping track of all your sins. Once you let it go, God's like, what sin? What happened? I don't know what you're talking about. It's
Jesus
fine.
died on the cross for all of us.
Yes,
So.
he forgave us. So yeah, I so struggle with that. But when you were saying being content, I feel I'm trying to get answers for this fast, but God is like, I just really want you to sit here and be content because you want an answer to something right now, but please don't forget all of the answers and the blessings I've already given you.
Yep.
So you're sitting here questioning, man, does God even exist? Is this all even for anything? Like, am I just doing too much? Like, I'm putting myself through the ringer for what? God's not like, I'm doing all this. God's like, no, please remember all the things I've already done for you and just be patient and wait. And I'm just like, but God, when am I going to get you from this boat? I'm walking on the water.
Our prayers will be answered soon. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.